Hey, hello, welcome to John Park's workshop. It's me, John Park. We're here in the workshop. It's the first episode in the new year, 2023. Welcome all. Thanks for coming to join me here. And thanks for joining me back on my normal time and day, Thursdays at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. I've been covering for Phil and Lamore on the Wednesday evening shift there, but they are back and better than ever. And so it was really great to see them up to their old hijinks last night, as well as some new hijinks and some wacky new studio space that they're using in their New York City apartment. So I thought they did a great job last night, and it was exciting to see the show back in top form. So let's see, here I am. It's been raining wildly here in Southern California, which we're terribly unprepared for, but so far no leaks here in this space. Cross fingers it stays that way, knock wood. And I hope you're having okay weather wherever you are. I know that up in Northern California it's much, much worse, and I'm sure there are other places where it's been pretty intense these past few weeks. So, in honor of that, I've got a new coupon code for you. So I don't know if you knew this, but if you go to the Adafruit.com website on the World Wide Web, you can purchase stuff, and sometimes you want to get a discount on that. Well, today you can do that with this discount code right here. Just type in rainy day into the coupon code field on the way out, and you're going to get 10% off. Let me mask all of that with my sweatshirt. So there we go. You can see that nice and clear. Rainy day will get you 10% off, and that's good on stuff. You can't use it for software or gift certificates or subscriptions, but you can use it on things, physical things that you can order. And if you go and find some stuff you like, let me head on over to the Adafruit site right here. Let me find my webpage. Where'd you go? There it is. Let's go right here. You can get some great discounts on things. Here's the site right there. That's what it looks like. Let me move this over here a little bit, just like that. Head on over to Adafruit.com. You'll see up at the top there's a products link. That's the main page. You can also go to shop and blog and forums, live, Adabox.io. In the products section, you can click on new products, view all, if you want to see the new stuff. There's some really cool new products that Lamore was announcing last night. Some of them are in stock, some of them are not out yet, but coming soon. Including, if you're hankering to build 3,400 of something that requires an RP2040 chip, then we've got you covered. We have, for $2,500, we have 2 in stock. You can get a whole reel of 3,400 of these things, surface mount RP2040 chips. Kind of cool. If your plans are more modest, if you have 100 of something you're building, which seems a little more reasonable, $75. It's out of stock right now, but I'm sure that'll come back in, right? Give you a 100-pack of those, and I think we sell them in little one-offs as well, but the pricing is better the more you get. But there's lots of good stuff in there, and if you want, you can go and order some stuff and type in that coupon code Rainy Day on the way out. You'll get 10% off. You can also get some cool freebies at different price ranges. If you go over to $99, you'll get the free nude, a little LED flexible noodle. If you go up to, I think it's $149, over $149, you'll get the KB2040 microcontroller. It's the keyboard and the nude. If you go over $200, you get free UPS ground shipping and the KB2040 and the nude. And if you go over $299, you'll get the free Circuit Playground Express and the free UPS ground shipping and the KB2040 and the nude. So lots of good stuff there. But not to bury the lead, if you want a discount, no matter what you're doing, that's how you can do it. Rainy-day. That'll get you your discount today. Let's see. In other news and happenings, we have a jobs board up over at jobs.adafruit.com, and you can go check that out if you're looking for work, if you are looking to hire someone, if you're looking to get hired. Head on over here. This is jobs.adafruit.com. It's free to use. You'll see the newest thing we have there is Adafruit itself. We're looking for someone, an employee resources assistant for benefits and payroll. It's a new job opening that was just posted 2 days ago. And you can see here, Adafruit's currently seeking to add an experienced employee resources assistant to the team. It's a full-time position on site at the Adafruit New York location. And it gives some qualifications, experience, the benefits, and all that. So if you're looking for some work and you're in the New York area or thinking of heading to New York, I can think of very few better places to work. That's what I'm trying to say than Adafruit. It's a fantastic company. I've been with Adafruit 6 years now, I think, something like that. So I'm sticking around. I love this place. So please head on over to jobs.adafruit.com to look for jobs. Sometimes they're with Adafruit. Sometimes most of the time, they're with other people, and it doesn't cost anything to use. So head on over to jobs.adafruit.com and find your dream job. Let's see. Also, I'll mention I've got a show on Tuesdays, which is that right there. It's JP's product pick of the week. On the show, I like to show you a new thing, a new product. Sometimes it's an oldie but goodie, but sometimes it's new. This was a pretty new one this week. Give you a little demo of it and give you a great big fat discount. This week it was 50% off on this. That was it right there. It's the Stemma QT 5-port hub, and I'll give you a little 1-minute recap. It is the 5-port Stemma QT hub. It is a passive hub. It allows you to create a bunch of I2C devices plugged into a single microcontroller board without needing to run from sensor to sensor to sensor and create a humongous chain of them, which is pretty darn cool. So here you can see I've taken the hub, and then I have these 4 sensors plugged into it, and then the 5th item plugged into the hub is my QT Py right there. So here I've got an accelerometer, a pressure sensor, a temperature and humidity sensor, and a magnetometer. So I can read the values on all of those over a single I2C bus. They all have their own unique addresses. But as far as the actual wiring of the thing, it's really nice and neat with that little hub right in the middle there. So I'm just using some nylon standoffs and screws and nuts there to hook that all together. It is the Stemma QT and Quick 5-port hub. Beep, 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 beep. Yes, it was. So you can, I think, still get those. We probably still have those in stock, right? Let's go check. Head back over here to Adafruit. You can look up Stemma Hub. That'll get you there quick. In stock. They're back up to the full price, $2.50. So it's pretty inexpensive for what you get and how useful that is. Let's see. What else is happening here? I, again, want to thank everyone for stopping by the Discord. If you're wondering where the chat is, if you're over on Twitch or Facebook or somewhere and you know where the chat is, I've got an eye on the YouTube chat, but the main chat right here is our Discord. So you can head to adafru.it/Discord. Look for the live broadcast chat channel. We have a whole bunch of other channels going 24/7, people hanging out in the channels, discussing stuff. But this is where the chat's going on for live broadcast chat during the show. So thank you all for stopping in. Dadude, whatchamacallit, Doodad, Gizmo, Doodah? Doodad, right? Doodad. That's what I call it, a doodad. Right on. So, hey, next up, I got a kind of cool tip I want to share with you in CircuitPython. So it's a great time to do the CircuitPython parsec. Hey, all right. For the CircuitPython parsec today, I wanted to show you how you can use a short press versus a long press on a single button inside of CircuitPython. This is super useful when you have a limited amount of user interface inputs, such as a device with a single button or a couple buttons, and you want to be able to switch, say, between different modes, have certain actions act as like a single click, other actions act like a double click. But I don't want to confuse it with that. It's really this difference between a short, sort of normal press of a button and a press and hold to enter into a different mode, which is really, really useful on limited UIs. So here I can show you in action. When I press this button on my Circuit Playground Express, I will advance one position on my little ring of neopixels, and I'll have to move my thumb so you can see around to the other side there. Now, if I want to switch the color of that, I'm using the exact same button, I'm just pressing and holding. If I press and hold for half a second, I go up to a different color selection. So the single short press, you can see it there printing out, says short press. If I click and hold, we switch over to a new color. Switch and hold, new color, switch and hold, new color, short press, and we advance. Click and hold, new color. Click and hold, new color, short press, advance. So the way you do this is a subset of the, what's the name of it? It's in the debouncer library. So inside the debouncer library, you can import buttons. So if you look at my code here, it says from Adafruit debouncer, import button. You set this up pretty much like a normal button, except here, I say button, I give it the button pin that we're using, and then I tell it how long to count in milliseconds to consider something a long duration press. Then down here in my main code, I'm using button update, pretty similar to debouncer. If the short count, which is when it senses you've pressed the button but not held it for a long duration, if that short count happens, then I'm doing one thing, which is really just advancing to the next neopixel. If, however, it detects a long press, so if button.long press, then we're doing something else, which is changing to the next color in my little list of colors. So here you can see in action, I can do a short press to advance to new neopixels, press and hold, and I change the color. And so that is how you can use a short press versus a long press inside of CircuitPython. And that is your CircuitPython parsec. Wow. Wow. Hey, is that cool or what? And I've run into this a lot of times on really simplified interfaces where you maybe have one knob and a button, and you can use the button to switch among menu items, use the knob to change a value, but then let's say you want to jump up a level or go deeper into a menu item, maybe toggle between a couple of layers of menu. That long press is a great way to do it. So I know we have an additional ability in there to do multi-presses, so you can distinguish between a double click and a triple click and so on. And maybe I'll show that as a future update, and that's actually one of the reasons that this is named short count instead of long press and long, or rather instead of short press. The short count is anything that isn't that long press duration. It'll count up the number of them. Here I just say anything other than 0, I'm going to consider that a short count or a short press. But you can find more info about this inside of the debouncer library. I know we have a lot of different ways to press buttons. Keypad is a really good one. Debouncer is great, but this button subset a little less well known, and you don't see it documented too many places. So I thought that was kind of a cool one to share. And I'm sure there's other ways you could do this in your own code, maybe just counting ticks, or elapsed microseconds or milliseconds. But this one is really easy to use because it's kind of built in, just like debouncer. It's a very easy sort of high-level library to use. Thin Man asks if this works with capacitive touch as well? I don't know. I think it does. I think it should because I've used the debouncer library with CapTouch, and so I'm going to suspect that this will work in a similar way. But try it out, or if anyone has tried it out, let us know over in the chat. Yeah, someone also asked, can you use different press lengths? Let me bring up the Discord, in fact, because there's an interesting conversation here about this. Can you use different press lengths like short press, 2-second, long press, 5-second, 10-second? Todd's here says, I don't think so. It's just short and long. Again, you could roll your own, but in the let me bring back this screen here now. Again, in this setup where you say my button using the debouncer button is long duration. I think it might even default to that. But you could set it here to be 2 seconds if you wanted, so 2,000 milliseconds. That would give you a really long press. You can also tell it what the short duration is. I left that at its default. I'm not sure what it defaults. Probably it's 100 milliseconds or something like that, so that it knows to count it as a press at all. So that's getting into sort of the debouncer half of it, is should it ignore things that are shorter than a certain length. Yeah, and that's right. Todd mentions the keypad library does debouncing for individual buttons, but it doesn't have this short long thing. Right, and Foamy Guy, hey Foamy Guy, says, yeah, you can check your down duration and have your own logic. So another thing I didn't show in here is that it can report the down duration, so it'll tell you how long you've held it down. That's built into it, and then all you would do is build some checks around that. So you don't have to roll too much of it, just a little bit. All right. Button. I was excited about button there. Let's see. Next up, what's going on? I think I want to jump just right into this little build that I worked on this morning. And I'll tell you, I wish I had seen this last night. Maybe I did, but I didn't act on it. I think I just noticed it this morning. Where did I even notice this? I think this was on the Adafruit blog. We had a post. Let me go. Let's go see if I can find it. About this Nintendo Entertainment System, NES emulator for the Raspberry Pi Pico. So let me jump to the blog. And if it's not there, I have a link. But let's just scroll through. There it is. NES emulator for Raspberry Pi Pico with SD card, HDMI, and menu support. So I saw this blog post, I got excited, I noticed it uses, in this image here, the very cool Raspberry Pi Pico breakout board from Pi-Moroni, which is called their DV demo base. So it's for digital video. It's got essentially an HDMI port out, or DVI, in the shape of an HDMI port out. It has an SD card built onto it, and it has some other breakout stuff, power and so on. So pretty cool. I don't have one of those, and I was thinking of getting one, but then next paragraph, alternatively, you can use the Adafruit DVI breakout for HDMI and the SD, the micro SD breakout board, and wire it up yourself. So this is, handy little link here. Thanks, Anne, for that blog post, by the way. This is the little DVI breakout. And I've shown this before. In fact, this was one of my product picks of the week at one point. I built this little gizmo here, which is a Pico on a piece of proto board with the DVI breakout. I wired it underneath there, and I added a button and an LED to it. But basically, this is there was a nice DVI HDMI out demo there. So turns out I also had a micro SD card breakout on hand. It's this one here, which is okay. This is a 3-volt only one. The one that's mentioned in that article is the 5-volt one, but we can use this 3-volt one no problem for this project. So that worked out. It's a little cheaper too because it doesn't have the voltage regulator of the other one that's mentioned. And if you follow the blog post link to GitHub, here is, let's see, is this the one? Wait, let me go back. Yeah, I think this is it, right? Yeah, this is the one. So this has a nice little demo of it here in action. And I'll show that. I'll turn off the audio on that. But you can see there's a PlayStation DualShock or DualSense 4 controller there. This will become important in a moment because I actually can't get my controllers fully working. So there will be an issue with the demo here that I'll keep working on. Yeah, Kayoshi said DVI breakout added to cart. Yeah, all you'll need, you really need 4 things you probably may or may not have on hand, which is going to be a Raspberry Pi Pico, the DVI breakout, the micro SD card breakout, and this on-the-go cable breakout that I'll show you. I happened to have one because it came with my RetroKits MIDI RK006 MIDI distributor box, but it's essentially an on-the-go cable that has a micro SD plug, a micro SD port, and a USB-A port, and it allows you to power a device and send data and have a peripheral plugged in. So yeah, here you can see it in action. It's working great. So that tutorial page shows you how to do it if you're using the Pimeroni board, which is really straightforward. I think you'll just be putting code on it, basically. You're wiring nothing. I think it's all put together basically for you. If you're doing the one with the Adafruit parts like I do, here's the pinout. I actually found it easier to follow the wiring here because of the silk screen names being not on the top of the board for the DVI and being named differently than the chart there. I might do a fritzing of this just to make it really clear. And I even grabbed a Pi Pico that I had put together a while ago where I had pasted the pinout GPIO names onto it. So I'll show you that in a second. This is the little on-the-go cable that you'll need to get. And there's a link in here to go pick those up on Amazon. I can pop that up. So let's open that. Look for this thing, micro USB to USB adapter. It just needs to look like that. It just needs to have 2 sockets and 1 plug. 1 plug is micro, 1 socket's micro, and 1 socket is USB-A. This is 2 of them for $7, so you could make a couple of these. Yeah, on the go with power injection. That's a good way to put it, Kayoshi. I bet you could make one of those too, for sure. So, yeah, I don't think we carry those or anything like it, but you could probably build that from one of our on-the-go adapters that are made for things like the Raspberry Pi Zeros. So, nice thing here is if you want to just use it as is, you'll put a NES ROM on a FAT32 formatted SD card, micro SD card, and you will flash your Pi Pico with a UF2 file. So there's a link here. It says releases page. Very nicely done. You've got one UF2 if you're using the Adafruit breakout. Here it is. Pi cones plus Adafruit DVI SD UF2. You can use that one. Or if you're using the Pimeroni, you can use this one here. Source is available. This is open source, so you can download the source, and it credits some of the creators of the emulator that's in use here in the couple iterations that it's gone through, different authors, to get it working with this hardware. And then you plug it up and see what happens. So what I want to do is jump over here, show you what I put together, and we can see what we can get working. I'm going to not guarantee results because I don't have the right controller, it seems, or I have the right controller and it's not working, which is too bad. So I'm going to unplug power from it, and I'll show you how this all goes together. So let's unplug some stuff here. You can get away with putting this on a single full-size breadboard. This was the most convenient one I had, which was this big one. And this big one makes it really nice because I made my Pi Pico really wide when I added these headers that come out sideways, and then I have 90-degree angle headers so that it actually is too wide for a normal breadboard. I need to use these side by side. But it gives me all these pin names, which really saves me some trouble not having to look stuff up. So there's other ways to do this. You can even get some, I think you can get some labels. Maybe Toddbot had some of these. I think maybe Toddbot shared some label that you can stick, or a sticker that you can stick over there. But however you want to do it, you got your Pico, you've got your DVI breakout, and this essentially is wired in 3 pairs of clock and data. So you can see here we've got a GPIO pin pair going to data 2 and ground, or data 2 positive and negative, another pair going to 1 and another pair going to 0. And then we have 3 grounds coming off of this. The DVI breakout does require 5 volts, and I think that's HDMI requires 5 volts, so you're not going to get away with 3 volts and make HDMI happy, or DVI rather. So there's a breakout here for 5 volt on the side of this DVI breakout, and I just ran a little sort of pigtail of a jumper cable, and that's going up to the V bus. So since I'm powering this from essentially a 5 volt 2 amp USB power supply, that'll make the V bus that 5 volts that makes the DVI breakout happy. And then we're using this SDIO breakout for the SD card. Here's my little FAT32 card. This thing is 8 gigabytes. It works fine. It also means that you could have probably every NES ROM ever made 20 times over fit on there. You don't need much space for these. That's just what I had convenient. And so this has all the SDIO data and clock connections, as well as power and ground, and those are running off of the 3v3 line right here. And that's it. Those are the connections that are made, so the page there. And I can put a link in the chat if one hasn't gone already. Oh, I can see Todd put, thank you, he put a link to his little printable sticker there for pin names on the Pico. Next thing you do, so here's this power injector on-the-go cable. So this will do 2 things, really. It'll give me power to the Pico over USB, right there, and it'll allow me to still plug in a USB peripheral and power that peripheral, as well as send data. So these are really convenient. Let me zoom out just a little bit here. So controller-wise, I've got this Buffalo classic USB gamepad. This is one that we sell on Adafruit. Is not the exact model number that was mentioned in the article, and so it only sort of works, and I'm confused by that, but that's what I've got so far. So this will plug into this side of the sorry, I pointed to the wrong things before. Yeah, this is not where power is. Power is going to be over here. So this is where my USB controller plugs into to get the data over to the Pico. And then power, I'm just running, this is a, you can see right there, this is a little USB cable. It's kind of short, plugged into a power supply. Let me see if I can move that to a different one. I've got a powered hub here that should be okay. And there's mention in the article that you may want a diode to protect the power supply if your power supply is coming off of, I think they mentioned if you're trying to just power it off of like a Raspberry Pi, but I'm guessing they mean a sort of normal computer USB port. But I'm powering it from a powered USB hub, so I don't think that's necessary at all. And then, actually, I need to unplug that because first I want to plug in, I don't want power yet, I want to plug in an HDMI cable. So I've got a little, I haven't tested this monitor, I just grabbed it. I have another one over there we can use if this doesn't work. But here is a little HDMI monitor. I'm going to need to steal this full-size HDMI cable for that. Yeah, I was checking. Funnily enough, this is a Nintendo branded HDMI cable. It's one that came with my little NES Mini or SNES Mini, little emulator box. So that's appropriate. I'll plug that in right there. And these are great. This is actually this is a little Adafruit display. I think this is a 7-inch one. Is that right? That has HDMI, VGA, and composite, which is great. Really convenient for testing this kind of stuff. Let's see if it powers on. Plugged in. It's powering on. All right, so I'm going to plug power into the Pico. And look at that. Pico Info NES emulator port. Shuichi, oh I missed it, Shuichi Takano. And it's got choose a ROM to play. We have some garbage that's on there because I had this SD card plugged into my Mac. Oh, and we got a screensaver. You actually saw this before. At the top of the show, the monitor behind me was showing this, this little screensaver that's built into the emulator, which is cool. If I wake it up, you'll see that we can navigate. Those are just dot files. Here's the 3 games I put on here. Galaga, Micromages, which rules. I don't know if I've talked about Micromages on here before. I probably have. It's a brand new, in the last few years, NES game created from scratch that you can buy on Steam and itch.io, I believe, for various systems. And you can also, they'll sell you the ROM, so you can play it in an emulator, and they also make cartridges, which I think they still make. They're made in Europe, and I think they cost about $50 to get them sent here, but I'm kind of dying to get one because I love this game. It's a really fun little platformer that you can play 4-player. So this will allow me to pick between games, and I put Super Mario Brothers on there. I'm supposed to be able to launch them, I think select the ROM with A and launch it with Start. I don't think it's recognizing any buttons other than D-pad, sadly. So it's a really terrible and disappointing demo. I just ran out of time. I'm so sorry. I will get this working. If anyone has suggestions, try this. If anyone reads something somewhere in the manual or in the GitHub or looks in the code, anything. But I'm perplexed because these should be fairly standard things. The other thing I've tried is I'll unplug it and take that controller out of the setup and instead use a Sony DualShock 4, which is what this is, I'm pretty sure. These are from my PlayStation 4, a little dusty. I've got a known good USB cable on here. Plug that in and plug power. And it recognizes this even less. Oh wait, hey, that's a new one. That's new. Please work. It worked! Why did it work? Oh my gosh. Oh. Oh. Yes! All right, let's see if there's volume. I'm scared. Is that volume? Holy cow, this demo really turned out much, much better all of a sudden. Yay! All right, let's try start. Oh, that goes back. Oh gosh, what's it doing? Okay. What does it think start is? Ah! We're playing. Let me see, we'll just play it for a second, and then I'll go back and launch Micromages. Yes! This is great. Oh yeah! This is running on a Pico, ladies and gentlemen. What the heck? You know what would be really cool is if this had Tate mode, so we could turn it vertically like the arcade. But I don't think the NES game ever expect you to do a silly thing like that. It's actually kind of bad for CRTs to turn them while they're on. So, all right, so I think you can go back with the two, essentially option and start. I cannot believe this suddenly started working. I tried, I'm not kidding you, 4 different DualShock controllers, including this blue one here. None of them worked. I don't know why it's suddenly working. Maybe it's just a cable thing. Maybe it's the power source. I did change the power source. All right, let me show you Micro Mages. This thing is the best. So circle to start. Look at that. Micro Mages. Yes, I'm thrilled. I believe it can save states in some games too. All right, you've got jump, and you've got a little sort of spell you can cast. And it's a wall jumper a la Celeste kind of thing. Bust through that, take out the skeleton. Woo! Oh, and the level scrolls endlessly, so you can't just dally. You got to move on. Anyway, that's Micro Mages. This is super cool. You can't see it too great on here, but that's great. All right, let's pop out. That made my day that this suddenly worked. Huh? How about that? There are miracles. This is such a good omen for 2023. Suddenly this worked. Whoops, did I pick the wrong one? Super Mario Bros. Oh, I think you got to hit circle. It'll let you hit start, and I think that means it just goes back to the last ROM. And there's good old Super Mario Brothers. Yeah, it looks better in... This looks great, by the way. It's probably a little laggy compared to real hardware on a CRT, I will not lie, but the fact that you can do pretty plausible emulation on a Pico, it looks great. Let me zoom in on the screen here. Look at this. Who could believe it? Who could believe this is running on a Pico? If I had a decent downscaler, I would love to hook it up to a CRT, because you know I'm going CRT loco. I don't have a good one. I don't think I have one in here at all, so we'll have to do that another day. But I'll tell you, the part of the thing that's so thrilling about this is you can... Oh yeah, I wonder if some of my problems were cable related. Did you see that? I don't know if I trust this on-the-go cable. This thing might be a little old or funny or something. The thing is, if you have a relative or friend that you want to get a little emulated gaming experience going for, of course, what we used to do back a couple years back was get a Raspberry Pi and build a little emulation station with RetroPie. But that's actually kind of involved. And we've had NES emulators that ran on other hardware. I'm sure this one's on like ESP32. This is the first time I've run across one that lets you use an SD card. So you can power this down, pull that SD card, go put another ROM on it. So if you wanted to build a really cool, really compact, low-power emulator box to give out as a gift, or even build it into a weird enclosure and make it super, super small, super cheap, right? Raspberry Pi used to be 35 bucks. Okay, that's not too much. Right now, they're scalped for 100 bucks, 200 bucks. These are like $4. You get yourself a Pico. Really inexpensive way to set up emulation. I see no downsides, and the SD card thing is huge. Of course, with a real Raspberry Pi, you can do single board computer, that is, you can do composite video, which is great if you want to go out to a CRT. There's a lot of versatility there, and the power to play a whole bunch of much, much more advanced console emulators, SNES, Genesis, and even PlayStation 1. But NES games rule. This is a really cool way. I've got NES games right here. They're bigger than this whole thing, right? Here's a cartridge. I've built, you might remember years ago, I built a Pi Zero into a cartridge shell on a broken game. This could do that easily, really small, svelte little package. So I'm super excited about this. I may try to at least fritz this up and share it so that it's really clear how to put it together. Either just share that with the author on their GitHub page or put together a little Learn guide on Adafruit for that if Lamore's cool with it. But I'm super thrilled. We've got a lack of jumping going on there. Sorry, Mari. Let's go fast. Let's get that mushroom. Oh, no, 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 no. I've missed the mushroom. So we can just jump back out there. Yeah, this is really easy for... It's going to go back to Mario, isn't it? Yep, really easy, other than having to tell someone not to keep screwing that up like I do, but tell someone how to use the buttons right. I'm curious which Buffalo Classic gamepad you can use, because you can get these pretty inexpensively, cheaper than a PlayStation controller, and I'm guessing the one that they've recommended is a NES. This is SNES style here, so it's got way more buttons than you need. It would be great to have one that's literally just D-pad, select, start, A-B, just like a NES controller. All right, let me see if there's any questions. I'll pop over here to my workstation for a second and see if there's anything that people are wondering about. You know what I'll also do in the meantime, because you can, I'm going to switch displays here. This I should be able to do on the fly. Let's see. And just have this running behind me. There it is. Yeah. Woohoo! I'm so thrilled with this. All right. So let's see what's going on here. Oh yeah, someone shared this. Foamy guy. Oh, I shouldn't, but I really want that. Have you people seen this thing? It's this beautiful, like $280 Lego set that builds an NES and a TV, and the TV has a little rotating backdrop, and I think Mario you can control on a little lever, so it looks like he's going through the level. Yeah, there's also a Atari 2600 one. Yeah, put the Pico in an NES cartridge. That would be super fun. All right, let me back up here. Oh, yeah, so you saw that. There's the link. Thank you. Yes, Todd, that is it. I don't know this maker's name. F-Hode Makers. It's the one who created this. Pico label plate from Todd. Thanks for sharing that, Todd. It's on printables. Hey, that's very literal. Go and print one of those, stick that to the top. There's a cat who likes that label plate. Cool. All the NES games ever is less than a gigabyte. That's amazing. This is not the official NES joystick that I showed recently. It is not. No. Yeah, I know. Kayoshi said using a SNES controller is blasphemy. I agree. USB host mode is still kind of janky, you think? Could be part of the problem there? Maybe. I can't believe it worked. It really was giving me problems. I bet it was just a wonky cable. Yeah, we got the Pico running Doom too. It's a good time for gaming. I don't know what the I'd be curious what the sort of specifications are if you match them side by side between everything that the Pico is being asked to do here versus all of the chips that were on the NES to do this. Everything from, you know, RGB video stuff to sound to actual compute power and any chips that were on the ROM or the cartridge itself. Put it in an Put the Pico in an arcade cartridge running the NES emulator. Make people's heads explode. How hard would it be, Kayoshi asks, how hard would we get this working on an OLED or a TFT? That I don't know. Let me know if anyone in the chat has an idea of that. I don't really know what goes into making that video work on DVI versus something like a TFT, so I just can't speak to that. It's a good question. I mean, the fact that we've seen Doom, I think, running over HDMI as well as running on TFTs makes me think that this certainly would be doable, and then you could get into the realm of tiny handhelds, you know, embed a tiny TFT into the NES controller itself, and, you know, a real NES controller is a tiny little chocolate bar size thing, so it could get small. So, yeah, exciting times. So that really cool project. Thank you so much to, do you have a name? Let's look at you. Frank, thank you, Frank Codemakers. Thanks for sharing that. That was in a tweet, and thanks to Anne for finding that and sharing it. And thanks for geeking out with me while I put that together. Let's see, so other stuff going on. I am finishing up writing the guide for the 16-step drum sequencer, so look for that soon. I should have that finished and submitted to moderation and editing by the end of the week. And then I am on the final stretch with the LCARS display. And then I've got at least one cool project coming up after that I know of. I'll wait till I get a little further before I mention it, but that should be probably something we look at next week. It'll involve a teardown and a rebuild of a piece of consumer electronics. So I love doing those. Look forward to doing that. So come and join me if you want to watch. So Kiyoshi says Pico can do composite out with a little work, right? I don't know. I've done composite on the ESP32. I think it can. I think I looked and it can. I would love that. I would love to have this running over composite because I've got loads and loads of TVs. Did you see that new one back there? I can't remember if I showed that one. It's like a 1985 Sony Trinitron 20-inch. Side of the road. Found it on the side of the road. It works. It works pretty well. I've got to fix some sort of pin cushioning, bowing, and convergence and stuff. But yeah, I would love to have the little NES running on a composite out or S-Video out. Be fun to pair up with one of these crazy little like 9-inch BVMs or PVMs, one of these little things. That would be great. I've gone into the dark side of this whole CRT thing, people. There are CRTs in here that you can't even see. There are so many. I have one here with... It's bonkers. This one here, did I show you this one when I got it? I posted this online. This thing, also found on the side of the road. I can't remember if I showed this. This only has a RF input. Antenna style 75 ohm coaxial cable, but about, I don't know, 12 years ago or so, I got, for $3.99, I bought this at the thrift store and finally have a use for it. It's this Radio Shack RF modulator. Plugs into AC power, and it takes in a composite video signal and stereo audio and outputs that as a RF signal. And I don't have any idea why it has an antenna input, because it has no switch on it. Why would it do that? Someone tell me. Yeah, thank goodness I knew where that was in here. You had that TV and it exploded. Yeah, it's a RCA. It's fairly, I think it's fairly new model. Let's see. It's small enough to pick up. 2000. This one was made in 2000. I searched the model number to find, did I get a, I can't remember if I found a remote for it or not online, but I was searching, and someone on a comment on a forum said that they know the person who designed the shell for that, the industrial designer who designed the shell for that, which is a pretty small world kind of thing to find. Antenna pass-through. Huh. I just don't understand how or why, because the TV only has one in coming into it. Maybe when you're not sending a composite signal, it would switch. Maybe it internally does that. That would make sense. I guess if you turn off your VCR or whatever was going into the video in, maybe it would just switch over to the antenna. That would make sense. I have no antenna to try it with. All right. I think that's going to do it. Yeah. Thanks, everyone, for stopping by. It's been a lot of fun having you here in the workshop again. Excited about the new year and the new projects and things we'll be working on, especially Ada boxes. Those are going to be coming back, so I gotta clean up some of this mess so I can film some Ada box shenanigans. C. Grover says it mixes VHF RF signals. What is happening? I just don't understand that. Yeah, auto switches, huh? Okay. So I guess it just knows that you're either sending it. It must just take over if a composite signal comes in, huh? Neato. So yeah, come on back next week. I'll be doing another Tuesday product pick of the week. We'll have Wednesday shows. I think it'll be the return of the Ruiz brothers next week for 3D Hangouts. We'll have a show and tell on Wednesday. We'll have an Ask an Engineer. We'll have, I think, possibly Desks of Lady Ada at certain times. Not sure about that yet. And I think we got Foamy Guy happening over on Friday. If you want a general idea, you can go to Discord and type in !showtimes. And that will let you know our general schedule. We don't update this up to the minute. This is just something we type in until we change it. But you can see we changed it back here so it shows my show's happening on Wednesday. Yeah, Foamy Guy is 5 o'clock Friday and 11 o'clock on Saturdays. And I think that deep dive is on the Adafruit channel. The Saturday shows on Foamy Guy's personal YouTube channel. So you can Google around and find those or ask here if you're having a hard time finding it. Good. All right. Thanks, everyone. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.